What is going on, everyone? It's LFC Transfer Room, and as we stand, we seem to be making progress. Chelsea haven't made a move as of yet, so we'll never know. That may be something that comes up a little bit further. I'm joined tonight by Mick, Mihal, and Chad, who I am just going to throw in here as well. I'll start with you, Mick, your debut.
Yeah.
Are you ready? Have you got your song ready, your poem?
Oh, yeah, I've wrote it all down.
And Chad, first time on stream with yourself. Stream's a little bit bitty. Are you coming through all right? Can you hear me?
I can hear you guys. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I can't see you very well. You're a little bit blurry. It's like in the 1940s camera.
It's fine. I'm not a sight to see. It's okay.
And Mihal, how are you doing, sir? Are you happy we're making progress?
I am. My computer's apparently working a bit. It's not himself this evening. So I am pretty excited about us finally signing someone. So yeah.
Well, we're going to come on to the Grav news. We're going to come on to that towards the end of the stream. But to start with, we're going to talk about the Andre news. We're going to talk about, obviously, the final piece of the jigsaw for most of us. We're talking about Andre being the number 6. He's kind of progressed into that position from Fluminense. But West Ham are trying to, do a Chelsea on us, Mick. Do you think there's any chance Andre picks West Ham over Liverpool?
I think it depends when we go in for him, if I'm honest. I think we should try and get the deal done for January, because I really do like him. I've watched a bit of him, but not massive amounts. But I feel like if they do come in and try and get it done early, and we're sitting on our hands like we have been doing for the last 6-7 weeks, then they might get it done. But I think he would prefer me to Liverpool over West Ham.
It's not an outlandish statement, that is it? I'll tell you what is outlandish. Jen, what a wonderful bit of support there. Thank you very much for the £10 super sticker. Always appreciate you. Not seeing you yesterday for Kev TV, but it's good to see you here tonight, Jen. Thank you very much for the super sticker. As always, if you've got questions, if you're new here, subscribe to the channel. We start questions and come to them at the end and really sort of put our panel through the ringer. So if there's anything that you want to discuss, make sure that you put it in there. Now, Chad, if we think about Andre as, let's say, the final piece coming in January, how would you rate this midfield rebuild? Not our performance in the market, we'll come to that, but as a midfield rebuild, Szoboszlai, McAllister, Endo, Gravenberch, and if we get Andre as well, is that a 10 out of 10 midfielder rebuild?
It depends if we do get Andre. What I would have liked was if we bought him now and then immediately loaned him back. That gave us more power, because again, if we don't sign him this week, it's a very it's a very complicated signing coming in January, because we might not go for him in January. He might not be fit in January. I mean, we waited for Kone just to finish a month of the Euros, and then he got injured. So waiting about 6 months for Andre, it's a big jump. I would have said the loan, and then once he's finished with the Copa, then we could have called him back, and we could have paid Fluminense a fee for that. Rating it out of 10. If Andre does come, I say it's about an 8. I don't think it was a perfect window. I don't think it'll be a perfect rebuild. I give it about an 8. Gravenberch is a box-to-box. If he comes in and he adapts to the way Klopp wants him to play, in the sense of being that 9 that can push forward. I mean, not 9, sorry, the 6 that can push forward. Or play that more of a genie role in that 8 position, then yeah, 100%. But for me, it'll be an 8. If we can get all the pieces in. I think Endo was a great piece of business. I think that's Endo's more of a Liverpool signing, in the sense that he has all the fundamentals that we look for in a player, and he came in at a very cheap cost to us. So yeah, for me, it'll be an 8. Yeah, I think we could have done much better, especially in that 6th position.
You two have yet to be on a stream with the legend that is Kev, and as Kev TV as we call it. But I'm sure you'll be on there soon. But as always, Jen, it was great to see you on there and stuff like that. So we'll definitely get you back on with that soon. Now we're going to come on to Gravenberch, and we're going to come on to that sort of thing. And there's already 100 people in there, so please make sure that you leave a like and a subscribe on the channel. We are also in for some streaming awards, and Charlie's probably going to put that in the chat soon. So please nominate LFC Transfer Room as social media, and there's a whole list of them, and Charlie's going to cut them, and I'll go through them because I've completely forgotten. But please support us in our application for that as well. We're trying our best to sort of get you guys and our channel a little bit of recognition, because obviously it's you and us together that make this such a fun place to chat every day about football. Now, Yoshimita Mick says 150 million, 4 midfielders, the cost of one Jude Bellingham can't be bad business. What are you saying?
It's not, though. I quite like the signing of Gravenberch. I think he'll really push on at Liverpool. I think he's the type of player that fits because I don't think Klopp's looking for this destroyer 6. I don't think that's what he wants to play anymore. I think he wants to control games. He doesn't want to be that, like we used to be, Joe, that on the front press, counter-attack. I think he wants to have more control of the ball, and I think Gravenberch does that with his ability to bring the ball in under pressure. He's brilliant at progressive passing and breaking the lines. I quite like the signing. I don't like it if he's going to play as a solitary 6, because that's not his game. But I suppose he can be moulded to it. He's only young. But it's Jude Bellingham, and we all love Jude Bellingham. You can't go wrong, can you, with Jude Bellingham?
Player of the month in La Liga. He's not started slow, has he?
No.
So you can't really complain. And as we said, there's a link. Football Content Awards. Any support that you can give to that, vote in, support us. Best new content creator, best club content creator, best social media organization, etc., etc., etc. And we're about to get Michal back in this, but I think Mick makes a good point, Chad, that Klopp's not looking for that destroyer 6, is he? We haven't really been linked to an out-and-out destroyer. We've been linked to more football-playing 6s and stuff like that. You know, Caicedo, Decore is the more destroyer type, but Gravenberch, stuff like that. They're all ball-playing type players who can kind of play 6.
Yeah, no, 100%. I completely agree with you guys. But looking at the game on the weekend, we want to be able to control the game, and I think Endo was a little bit too high during the game on Sunday, and that caused a lot of problem, especially with the way Trent is playing in his new position. So for me, a solid, I wouldn't say a destroyer, but a solid player that can read the game to be able to know when to go forward, know when to stay back. That for me would be more important. And Ryan can do that. Ryan can push the ball forward, and he can pass the ball through the lines, and he can make these storming runs from the heart of the midfield. And alongside McAllister and Tom, who both are engines already, as you can see, just from these 3 games. Yeah, I think that will be a great addition to our team. He's still young. He can still adapt to our philosophies. But I would have liked a solid player in the number 6 position, just to hold the game and calm it down for us. And hopefully Endo can do that for us. I've seen glimpses of him when he was at Stuttgart. But like I said, over the weekend, you can still see that he still needs to adapt to the speed of the Premier League. And I also think that Trent's position is not helping him a lot. So maybe Ryan wouldn't be coming in for a 6. I think he'll be more of an 8. And then Andre coming as the 6 cover. I'd rather have Andre as the 6 cover than Ryan. And he has that ability to push it forward. Both of them have that ability. So I completely agree with what you guys are saying about not having the destroyer in the midfield.
Now, if someone is in the LFC Transfer Room stream chat and they're on this at the moment, can someone please screenshot that and send it to Kev and Charlie? We want Kev hoodies for Christmas. Jen wants one. I think everyone wants one. But I think you're completely right. This is the thing. But we've got 24 hours left, and we've got Harmony, like part of the stream, asking, do we think that it's our last signing? We've got Craig, James, Bad News Pierce saying he's probably our last signing. We've got Melissa Reddy talking about potentially, we're not ruling out going for a centre-back and there's Hincapie or something like that. Mick, do you think this is it? Do you think this is... I said I didn't think we were going to sign anyone else. So the Ryan Gravenberch thing is completely... Yeah. It's not... I mean, it's not good enough, but do you think this is it? Done and over?
I don't want it to be, but I'm more the way how long it's taken us to do business up until now, and we seem to can't make any moves for more than one player at a time. So now that, and we've still not got Gravenberch fully over the line, so I don't see it personally. I think Leverkusen are asking 60 million for Hincapie. I've heard 35 up to 60 million, but Liverpool won't pay 60 million for a 21-year-old centre-back who's unproven. I think we definitely... I actually argue we needed a centre-back before the Gravenberch signing, personally.
What makes you think we need a centre-back?
Yeah, I agree.
It's the way that if Klopp continues to pay the Trent inverted coming into midfield, I just don't see... Because you're leaving basically a back three. And then Robinson's a left back. Yeah. He's not a centre back. And you're negating all Robinson's properties as a player. His true qualities getting forward. He's not a 6'2", 3'4" defender. So I think if we were to sign a left centre back, for me, he would come in to replace Robinson if this is the system that Klopp is continuing to go for.
Now, we haven't... This is a little bugbear of mine. So if both of you think we need a centre-back, we may as well have this conversation with everyone here as well whilst we're at it. When you look at the heat maps for Konate, so Trent playing that inverted role, you can see Trent's heat map, he goes across into the centre. You can see Konate's heat map, he goes across to the right back. But Verge doesn't move. Verge stays as left centre-back, which leaves Robertson having to stay as a left-back. So... I don't know where this idea of us playing a 3-2-3-1, whatever it is, has come from, because we've never played it. There's no heat map where Robertson plays as the left centre back. So it's just they move Trent inverted.
I think just to add into that, Dave, the way we play, that's the problem, is Van Dijk doesn't move and Konate does too much work. And with Robertson, he doesn't drop into the centre-back position, but he does stay a little bit. He does stay back a lot more than he normally would. And that's, again, going to mix a point. It negates his ability to go forward and press on. And when we went down to 10 men, you can see when the backline stays as the 4, we are able to use our talents that we have, and especially in the midfield. And Robertson got up front, and you can see how he links with Diaz. And then you look at Trent with Salah. Salah's left alone a lot of the time. Against Bournemouth, there was so much space on the right side. And it's not about moving the centre-backs into, not the centre-backs, moving Robertson into a 3 at the back. It's about helping Konate out on the one side, because, like you said, Verge doesn't move from his space, his area. And a lot of the times that is an issue, because you're going to have Konate drift out and the space, especially with the red card. Red card came from Konate being out of position. He was too far to the right. So I think the centre-back coming in won't necessarily make us it'll give the idea of making us a 3, but it won't necessarily be a like-for-like swap in terms of Robertson moving out and the new centre-back coming in. I think it'll just be we start as a 3 at the back. And I honestly disagree with that formation. I like the 4 at the back and leave Trent on the right.
I have a big problem with the Konate move around and stuff like that, Mick, because diagonal runs leave space, as we've seen. So when Konate moves across, someone's got to run diagonally to cover the space, or they sit and wait for Trent to move inside, and then you play a ball over the top. Dan's heard me rant about this quite a lot. I'm sure the stream has heard me rant about it quite a lot. my sport that I played was rugby, and it's the golden rule: you don't create a dog leg because it's just space to take advantage of. Do you really think, Mick? And I'll come to Dan or Mihal, American Mihal, as we'll call it for the rest of the stream.
A poor replacement.
Three. Why, Mick? Why do you think we need to do the three at the back and get a left centre back?
I don't think we do. I don't like the Trent inverted, but I think Klopp does.
I hate it, but yeah.
It leaves far too much space. And when we haven't signed a specialist, people could say Endo's a specialist 6, but Endo is not good enough in my opinion. So I think he's a good squad player. But you just the room that's left is it's like the Red Sea parting. There's nothing there. And if you look at all the left centre backs who we have been linked with, like Hincapie and Arthur Tiete, and I don't think we've been linked with Inasal, but we all wanted him. They're all players who centre backs who will play left back as well. Hincapie has played higher than a left back. He has played as a wing back. So, and I think he's looking for that player who can do both, because Robbo can't do both. But I hate this inverted Trent. I just don't think it works. I think it's.
Now we're saying Robbo can't do both, but he's never been asked to do it.
He is though.
No, he's not, because you look at the heat map. If Virgil's not moving in, he's not playing left centre back. He's playing left back.
Yes, so that means we've got one centre back in the middle.
Yeah, so you're saying
that's why
Robertson's can't play there, but he's never been given the chance to play there because there's no evidence of him playing there.
I don't think he could though, could he? He's not.
I'm just
playing as a centre back.
Agitating. If Kyle Walker can play there,
Kyle Walker can play centre back.
Well, he played right centre back. If you've got a powerful one in the middle, Dan, where are you on?
Well, I mean, I think all the criticisms we've talked about so many times is that, so obviously you see the Newcastle game, that where it really falls down is in transition. So if you look at how Newcastle not just score the goal, but get the red card on Van Dijk, is that Liverpool play out, they lose the ball in transition, and they go to press the ball on Guimaraes. Guimaraes plays the through ball into Van Dijk because it's literally just this wide lane that anybody can play a straight ball through. He runs in to take out to intercept the ball. Obviously, he takes out Isak, and it leads to a red card because it's denial of a goal scoring opportunity. I think that we're overthinking the 3-box-3 to some degree, in the sense for two reasons. One, I don't think Klopp has the players that he really wants to play it. And I think that's part of what that press conference was. And the fact that we wanted Colwell tells us this. And I think the fact that he haven't been using Robinson as a left-sided center back, that he has been playing left back, is something that Klopp and them obviously want them to do. So it really comes down to this question of then why are we inverting Trent? I think that what they are trying to do, what Pep and Klopp are ultimately trying to do, is that they want a situation where Trent moves into the midfield long term, either as a double pivot or as an 8, but I think it's going to be a double pivot. That eventually they're going to get a right back, a more traditional right back, and play in essentially an old style back 4 that you saw under Graham Arsenal, where one player goes forward, moves into a back 3. They come back, one player goes forward and does the back 3, and that's how you maintain width in this formation. Because the problem with the 3-box-3 is that there's no width. Like if you look, the reason Robertson's bombing on the left side is because there's no width. Who plays left wing? If it's Diaz, he's cutting inside. If it's Jota, he's cutting inside. If it's Nunez, he's cutting inside. So ultimately, it comes down to you need to buy 2 defenders, and it's going to have to be a right-sided defender who can play right back or a left-sided defender who can play left center back. I don't think they're going to sign any of them in this market because there's just no one available right now that they would probably want, in my belief. So I think right now we're just seeing the 3-box-3 because they want to play it against the bottom 10 sides. Because what you see from this formation is how we come back and win the game. Where Trent is the deepest player, he plays that line break and ball to Jota. Jota wins the ball, plays it on to Nunez. Nunez scores that equalizer. So I think long term, that's what they want to do. Is that they want to sign those 2 defenders, but they don't have them. So they're just trying to figure it out in kind of like an old Ferguson 2005 style, where you're just trying to get good players in and kind of figure out what you want to do. I mean, Klopp even said this. He said after the Newcastle game, Nunez is angry because we're trying to find a formation for him. And I think we could criticize the fact that why don't you have a formation, Jurgen? Why are you experimenting something if it's not going to work? But I think that is like the plan that they want to do long term eventually, and why they haven't signed a center back right now.
So
I think Gomez is also adding a little bit, making it a little softer for Jurgen to make that decision because of his performance recently, in terms of, he was outstanding against Newcastle. So it kind of, and he can play that right back position. So it kind of gives Klopp an excuse to not go out and get a right-sided centre back. But I agree completely with Dan. We need to maintain that the 4 at the back so we can have that width.
So would you want a right back over a left centre back? Chad?
I would rather have a left centre back than a right back at the moment.
But you can only have
because
one.
we have,
in this
guys,
hypothetical situation, you can have one.
I'll have a left centre back. If that's all we can get is a left centre back, I'll get a left centre back. The reason behind that is because we don't have a left-footed centre back, and if we do get a left centre back, they can move down to the wing. You can also maybe change the formation to put Robertson much forward, or you can take Robertson out completely and put Trent in that box, like Dan was saying, and then you can play that box more freely because now the backline is sorted. Trent's in the position where you can we can put the balls into spaces. You got creative players in sense of McAllister and Dom, so you can use the full abilities of the full creative ability of the 4 midfielders, that box.
I mean, we've got if don't get centre back, he'll cry.
He better start crying.
I think I will.
Yeah. Listen, he better start crying because they're not going to sign. I would be very surprised if they sign a defender. They could have signed Ignacio over summer. They decided not to pay his release clause. They could have signed Hincapie back in like June for $50 million. They did, and they could have signed Aguirre. They could have signed Killerman. They could have signed any of these players. And the fact they haven't is pretty indicative of the fact that they have a profile player they want and what they want to do in the future. I mean, Pep literally came out and said, I want to play Trent in midfield. So, I mean, I think there is a degree of experimentation going on with this team that we're just not going to know what formation we're going to have probably until January.
Now, Mick, we've got a big day tomorrow on LFC Transfer Room. We've got the UEFA Champions League draw at 12 o'clock. We've got a standalone Gravenberch announcement probably coming at some point during the day. We've got a normal 7:30 stream, and then we've got a deadline day stream at 10 p.m. for the last hour of the window. Which one are you most excited about?
Europa League draw, we should walk it, to be honest, but probably the best team in it. There's no excuses why we can't win that. So
Ticket to Dublin already.
I don't really. I think any team we should be getting, we should be winning or getting out the group stage with these. Gravenberch, I'm more interested in what we do in the transfer market, but I think like it's going to be a lot of like we're going to do something and then we're not going to do anything.
I mean, for me, I'm hoping that Stephen turns up dressed like Dan here, suspended, yellow tie, full Jim White stick.
I mean, listen, I'm going to be on tomorrow, so I can dress up again if you want me to. So I have a whole Liverpool get-up. I have a red tie, red shirt, black jacket. We're going full Ian Air on a motorcycle.
Oh, no. What you need to look up, Dan, just so that you're prepped for tomorrow, is Jim White, deadline day. That's what we want to see on this stream.
Yellow tie.
Yellow tie. Richard, I've seen your question. We will come to it. We are going to come to your questions a little bit further on, but we're going to move on to the Gravenberch deal. It looks like it's progressing. It looks like it's, we're hearing reports that he's really excited to come and play for us. He's over the moon that he's going to get to play for Klopp. He's been speaking to Klopp individually. It seems like, we've got a player who really, really wants to be here, Chad. It seems like it's completely polar opposite to the Caicedo type situation. Seems like he's been pushing to make it happen. And he just wants to wear that red shirt.
That's the play that you want. You want a player that wants to be there, because then he understands that he understands the level of team that he's going into. He understands that he's not going to start every game, unfortunately. I don't even see him benching any of our players at the moment. Dominic and McAllister are holding down those positions in the midfield. But the fact that he wants to be here means that he's willing to wait behind those two, or willing to find a gap between during the season where he can come in and then make a name for himself. I don't see him as a need for a right now player. I see him as a build towards player, a player that we can have, especially the second half of the season, pushing on to the next season. Yeah, I'm very excited for him. I'm honestly, truly excited for him. A player that can progress the ball forward, can, again, another engine similar stature to Dom, in the sense that he has a presence physically in the midfield. It's honestly, I'm excited for him. I'm hoping that he can come in, learn the ropes, learn off the guys in the midfield, and then push on. I hope there's big things for him.
I think what I like about him, Mick, is he's tall, he's rangy, he's got a pass in him, he's got a little bit of everything. And I think what people forget is he's 21. You know, this isn't a 24-year-old about to come into his prime. This is a player who is, you know, a year younger than Curtis Jones. And Curtis Jones only clicked for Curtis Jones last year. This is a player that everyone was raving about when he was 19, saying he was going to be the next Gerrard or the next Zidane. And I don't necessarily think he's going to get to that level. And I hate people when they compare them to other players that have already made it. He's going to be the first Ryan Gravenberch for Liverpool. But there's so much potential in this. And for the money we're talking about here, you know, we're talking 45 million euros all in. That's including the bonus and everything like that. A contract until 2028, so a good long-term contract. He's flying to Liverpool tonight. Everyone get the flight trackers ready. It seems like it's the perfect signing for the perfect Liverpool signing. And to wind Damo up, because I can see he's in chat, the perfect FSG signing, isn't it? It's the perfect FSG signing.
Yeah, nice and cheap. I don't think, like what Chad was saying, I don't think Gravenberch is coming in to try and take a spot off Szoboszlai and McAllister. I think Gravenberch is coming in to play a deeper role for Liverpool. I think he's coming in to play that where Endo would play. If you were building up the line up against Newcastle, he would have played where Endo played. I think that's what eventually he's going to be moulded into.
You don't think McAllister would have moved there and you would have played the 8?
No, Gravenberch is much more physical.
If you put him in, if you try putting him there.
McAllister hasn't got the stature to play that 6 role like Gravenberch has. Gravenberch is better at receiving the ball under pressure. He's more agile than McAllister. He's better. He's got more pace. He's stronger. He can bring the ball forward. I think that's eventually what he's coming in to do. I think that eventually will end up being the 3 that we might. I don't think it will be like, as soon as he signs next weekend after the Villa game, that's where he's going to start. I feel like in a couple of months you'll start seeing him regularly there. But I like Gravenberch. I think he's Van der Vaart said he's better than Jude Bellingham, so we've got that.
Yeah. I mean, we're at 299 people in the stream at the moment. We're nearly at 100 likes. If you are new here, please like and subscribe to the channel. Fan channel, made for fans. We're here celebrating Liverpool, doing some transfer business in LFC transfer room. It all is a good place to be. So just click that thumbs up. It always helps. It helps the channel. It helps us bring in people like Mick and Chad, who you'll be seeing for the first time. And then, we can get down some more suspenders.
It was picture day today at work. We were doing role playing. I was Barbenheimer, man. This is. I actually I just dressed up especially for you, James. Just for you.
Well, I'm over the moon. You're giving Terry Crews vibes from Brooklyn Nine-Nine. How excited! If you think about the midfield depth, Dan, go through our midfield. We've got 3 players almost for every position. The only one we don't really have 3 players for, in my view, is 6. Mm-hmm. We've got 2 half players for 6. So you've got Szoboszlai, McAllister, Jones, Elliott, Thiago, Bajcetic, Endo, and then Gravenberch. So you've kind of got 2 people that can play 6 a little bit in McAllister Bajcetic and
You got another
Gravenberch
off in
no.
Morton.
I think he'll be gone before the window's over.
Please don't chat. I saw that at Tottenham.
It's off. It's off.
I'm done.
Where do you think he fits in this rotation of midfielders, Dan?
So if in my mind, I'm picturing the fact that what we're going to see a lot of is something closer to a midfield double pivot of a 6, which is essentially what Thiago's been for us since the quadruple season. Is that they played him as a lone 6 in the pandemic season. It was a disaster because Thiago is not going to run back 40 yards to tackle someone on the goal line, though he did try his best. I think they're moving into some version of a double pivot 6 in the way that but in asymmetrical midfield, if that makes sense. So they're going to play midfield 3, where the deepest one, Indo, and whoever's on the left side, and potentially whoever plays the right side, they'll swap into some version of a double screen, double pivot, where one goes to win the ball, one picks up pieces. I think Gravenberch in many ways can play any of the 3. So he can play the deepest DM, he can play the left, he can play the right, and I think that's why they bought him. Now, we've gotten arguments about chats about, and I've heard this a million times, that Gravenberch is not a 6. Yes, he is not a 6 in the way we think of Fabinho, like Caicedo, or an N'Golo Kante, or even a Ouattara Endo. But what he is that he's Genie Wijnaldum 6. He's not, this top class midfielder 6 in many ways.
Well,
but what he can do,
learning his trade.
No, exactly. Well, he actually won learning his trade. But if you think about what Gravenberch does so well, it's almost part and parcel with what Genie Wijnaldum did so well, which is he can win the ball, he can carry it. It's hard to get it off him. I would say he's better passing than Genie, but also Genie was used in such a restrictive role that that passing ability didn't really come out as much as well. I think Gravenberch in many ways is going to be the second choice 6 behind Endo or behind Thiago, I guess. I think Endo and Thiago are kind of the same level where they are seen as the starting 6, and it's one of them, and then a Gravenberch and a Bajcetic behind them. I would be very surprised if Klopp played both Endo and Thiago. One, because they're both 30. I mean, granted, he did play Henderson and Fabinho last year, so and Milner, so he did have an old man midfield.
Just because you're 30, don't mean you're dead.
I mean, listen, you tell us Fabinho and Henderson. Like, Fabinho was 29 running like a 33-year-old. Henderson was 33-year-old running like he was 36-year-old who shorted his pants.
It's not like he just wanders around the pitch walking, is it? I mean, now he does, obviously.
No, I agree with you, James. I agree with you. But the reason I'm thinking that this is his thought process is that the one thing we had last year that caused our team to fall apart was legs in midfield. And I think Klopp, in any way, shape, or form, is going to make sure he has legs in midfield. Even with Ouattara, Endo, we have legs in midfield, and that's kind of been the strategy: is how do we get players who can play in other positions and can run for days. We literally saw it with Szoboszlai. Like, could you imagine playing 10 against Newcastle with Henderson on the field instead of Dominic Szoboszlai? Yeah. So that's where I think Gravenberch is going to be seen as. He's going to play as an 8 some games, as a 10 some games, and then as a dual 6 some games paired with an Endo or a Thiago.
So, Mick, a double 6, double pivot with McAllister and Gravenberch, with Szoboszlai playing that sort of 10 where he goes out to the right, Gakpo coming back, the left wing coming. That's kind of what Dan's describing. Is that how you see us evolving?
I'm not sure, because I'm not sure. I think that's what it will be. I think he's still going to, even with a double pivot, Trent's still going to come inside. So maybe it's going to give, say if McAllister's on the right side of that pivot, it's going to give McAllister license to get forward more as Trent comes into that central role. I think that is probably our best option. I mean, I don't think Endo should be starting, but that's my opinion. I just don't. I think he's a good James Milner. Come on, 60th minute, see a game out, started a few cup matches, maybe start against the lower teams in the league.
Are you writing him off because of his age, like Dan is? Saying these 30-year-olds can't run, or is it the Stuttgart?
I'm Endo's biggest offender. I think Endo's actually a half-decent player, and everyone's just like, no, he's trash.
I don't think he's trash. I just don't think if he was signed as our 6 to start, I just don't think that's good enough.
I mean, James Milner signed at 29 and then got for the next season the most assists in Champions League history.
Yeah. James Milner's a legend, though, and he can play anywhere. So you can stick him up front and do a job. I don't think Endo's been brought in as a placeholder either, not the 4-year contract.
So, Chad, I'll come to you with this. We're coming up Villa game next. You've got a whole range. You know, Thiago's back in, Bajcetic is back in training. Curtis Jones, I don't think is. And as Rob says, you know, Japanese 30 as everyone else is 20. What's your midfield 3?
I think he stays with the same midfield. I think he puts Endo in a 6 and he has Tom and McAllister. We're forgetting that Klopp is a very stubborn guy. He sticks to what he knows and trusts. You know, when I say Endo is a placeholder, I say that in the sense that he was waiting for Bajcetic to get fit, because I feel like that's Klopp's ideal 6. That's who Klopp wants to put in at midfield. And if Bajcetic was healthy during the preseason, I don't think Endo signing would have happened. So I see him playing the same 3. Just until the international break, and then we'll start seeing the innovations of either bringing Ryan in or Bajcetic in, maybe moving Endo to the bench, coming in on the 60th minute just to control the game down. I do see him using Endo as a Milner type player to bring in the second half, just as extra legs, just to control the ball in the midfield, control the pace of the game. But yeah, he sticks to his 3 for Villa.
Makes sense. And I kind of see it. I think, Dan, one of the variances in this is the Thiago thing. Thiago had one of the best tackle success rates, one of the most amount of tackles. I mean, the guy's got no pace, but for some reason, he can play a ball, move the ball around, tackle people. I mean, he's got it all upstairs. If Thiago's fit, which is, you know, what, a 50-50 chance most games, can you afford not to play him?
I understand. I could see a world where Klopp just throws Thiago in because he's a fit, and if you're only going to fit Thiago for like 15 games, you want to play him those 15 games, especially against a team like Villa at home that's going to be extremely reactionary, extremely looking to break on the play on the break with pace, with Bailey, with Moussa Diaby, with Ollie Watkins, and you know, just the rest of the Villa lads. I understand the argument of throwing Thiago in. My biggest worry is that it's the last game before the international break. So if you're going to throw him in, this is the best time to do it, and just to see if he still has legs yet. But also at the same time, if you throw him in, there's a risk that if he goes and you bring Endo back in, you know, it makes more sense to start Ouattara Endo for 60 minutes than bring Thiago in for 30 at any game state. It makes less sense to start Thiago. Because if you're 0-0 on 60, you can bring Thiago in, change the rhythm of the game, and get a late goal. If you're 1-0 down, you know, same idea. You're going to need Thiago's move the ball quicker to get an equalizer and then hopefully a winner. If you're tied or if you're winning, again, same idea. You need Thiago in to come in and control the pace. And after about 60, and we saw this last year when Villa came to Anfield, is that, you know, after a certain amount of time, Villa's going to run out of gas. So Thiago makes way more sense to come in at a 60, 65, 70-minute mark to change the pace of the game with the ball than it does to start the game out, especially since we know Villa are going to want to start like a house on fire, especially with no Van Dijk there, you know, possibly playing against Joel Matip and Joe Gomez back line, which is, you know, I'm surprised no one here has had a heart attack yet thinking about that.
I nearly did.
You know, or Joe Quansah, Joe Gomez back line.
I quite like Joe Gomez at right.
No, I love Joe Gomez. It's not Gomez, it's Matip that I'm worried about. Like the fact that Joel Matip has started games for Liverpool in 2023 is like a criminal offense. Like someone.
Is it because he's over 30? Isn't it? That's your issue. Old man bias again. You just ageist, Dan.
Yeah, I know. Listen, I'm an ageist, man. I can't help it. Look, I have the French flag, the Liverpool flag, and the Brazilian flag. I hate all the old people. I just young people forever. No, it's just for me. It's just it comes down to the fact that I worry that Matip's legs are gone, and when you're playing against a pacey counterattacking team like Villa, you're going to need people that are just all hands to the pump all the time. And Endo makes more sense of that for about 60 minutes than bringing Thiago on, who's not match fit, who hasn't had any games in his legs apart from training as well. So that would be my plan. Start Endo for 60, bring Thiago on for 30. Hell, we might be 10 men down again. So, like we haven't won a game with 11 men on the pitch. Like, this has been the maddest season of football ever. It's only 3 games in.
I mean, Chad, Dan makes a great point, which is, we've probably seen only two 90 minutes worth of games where we've had 11 players on the pitch. If you factor in all the time we've had 10 men on the pitch, so we don't really know how we're going to play. But I think players who come in this late, if obviously Gravenberch comes in, and then if we sign anyone else, they need some time to integrate into the squad, integrate into the style of play. And Klopp's very good at giving new players space to learn the system, isn't he? I mean, look at what he did to Nunes last year. He played a lot of games.
Yeah, he's very patient.
Yeah. Do you think?
Yeah, no.
You might
sorry to cut you off there.
No, go for it.
No, I think it's perfect timing for him because of the international break. He has a lot now. He has a lot of time with the team. I'm not sure if he's involved in international duty, but if he's not, that's a lot of time that he can spend with a lot of with Klopp and with Pep in the background, talking about tactics and how he's fitting into the team. This weekend, I see Thiago coming on. If he's fit and he's ready, I see him coming on for maybe the last 30 minutes. Just to get the legs in, just to move the body. Bajcetic also has a shout. I want to ask, like, what do you guys think? Because I saw a chat coming in about maybe moving Endo into centre back because he can play that. And he played there for Stuttgart. I'm just saying, we saw Matip with the grey hair, so it might be a thing of he's a little bit too old. He needs to move on. But again, Endo, he's. I don't know. I'm not 100% sure on that. It's way too late now to get a centre back anyway. So we stuck with him. We stuck with Matip, and unfortunately. But the thing is, if our midfield can do the job in terms of pressing high, getting the ball back as soon as possible, I don't see us conceding to those counter-attacks against Villa because our midfield can dominate the ball. If we can dominate the ball in the midfield, Matip and Gomez can be as peaceful as they want to be in the back, and we can control the game from there. Then you can bring on if we get Gravenberch over the line before the game starts, I do see Klopp bringing him on, especially if we're in a winning situation and we're dominating the game. I do see Klopp bringing him on just to get the taste of the Anfield crowd, get the feel of the team, how get a touch on of the Premier League football. But no, yeah, I think it. Maybe November, December, he starts first. He starts starting games. I don't think he starts anytime soon. December will be the time for you.
Maybe the Carabao Cup will see him start. But I think there's a chance that we don't see Gravenberch start until October, in the Premier League, unless he does something outrageous and he forces his way in, a bit like what we're seeing with Nunes. I mean, we're talking about playing in mix straight away, but the player who I think has seems to be earning their way into this first 11 in our midfield at the moment is Harvey Elliott, because every time he's come on, he's been instrumental in how we've turned the game around. Is there an argument to bring him in to start? Which obviously you can't drop Szoboszlai and McAllister, but surely he's first rotation.
Are we playing Harvey as a 6 now?
Sure, why not?
I don't think Harvey's best position is midfield anyway. I think he's a winger, personally. I think if Salah was to move on this transfer, for example, this window maybe, my first pick would be Harvey there. Harvey, when I think was he on loan at Blackburn a couple of seasons ago?
He played right wing.
Yeah, and he was absolutely brilliant. What I said of him at Blackburn on the wing. I think that's Harvey's best position is a winger. So, but yeah, he does do it. He did brilliantly well when he came on against Newcastle when we were trying to see that game out. He works his socks off. He leaves his everything on that pitch when that whistle goes. I do like Harvey, but I don't think we should look at him in the long term as a central midfielder. That's just my opinion. I think he's more of a winger. I think he's better suited to the winger role than a central midfielder.
I do agree with you. I think we would need to change how we play because obviously our right wing is currently our most offensive player, and therefore you'd have to bring Nunes probably into the fore a little bit more. But he's definitely asking the question, isn't he, Dan? That he should be first rotation within how we're changing games, especially if we're down to 10 men. It seems that's his specialist thing because the guy wants to play for Liverpool. You can see it in every interview, conversation, anything he does.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And actually, I think there's an argument that you can play Harvey Elliott right mid and Szoboszlai right wing and just have them swap throughout the game because one goes inside, one cuts outside. I mean, he can play the same position. And a lot of people even say Dominic Szoboszlai is better as a right wing in general. I think I agree with Mick in the way that I think Harvey's best position would technically be a right winger. I just don't think he has the pace to play it as a Klopp right winger. If this was an Arteta right winger or a Pep right winger, he'd be perfect because he's essentially the same pace as Riyad Mahrez because you could use him as that primary creator. I think we've changed a little bit. I actually think that we're trying to make our right winger more creative, and I think Mo Salah's a part of this where he's not the tip of the attack anymore. It's Nunez. That's kind of why I bought Nunez, or it's someone like Jota, someone who's more of a poacher, more of a striker, rather than someone like, Firmino, Bobby Firmino, who would start as a 9 but drop into a 10 position. I think you could start Elliott, but you would have to bench one of Szoboszlai or Salah, and I don't think either of them want to be benched in many ways. Or you could play Salah as a center forward, and I don't think Mo wants to play a center forward as well. It's kind of sad because I think Harvey has shown that one, he's technically good enough to be a midfielder. Two, he has the mentality because again, the reason we score that winning goal is because he's blocking the pass from Bruno Guimaraes, who's trying to clear the ball. Even though Harvey's 5'7", not a big lad, he's standing in the blocking the passing lane, which shows that he has the game intelligence to read a press in a 10-man team and block the pass. That block leads to Salah getting the ball playing at the Nunez. I don't know. I mean, listen, this is the best problem to have as a coach. If I'm Jurgen Klopp right now, I am smiling more than when we scored that goal, more than he smiled against Jason Tyndall when we scored that goal against Newcastle, because you have so many options right now. You can do so many different things. I honestly think you could also make an argument that you put McAllister in the 6, Szoboszlai on the left, and bring Harvey in and play a really narrow midfield where Szoboszlai being right-footed is very narrow and Harvey Elliott being left-footed on the right side being very narrow as well. You could do that. I don't think there's any reason to. Right now, Harvey Elliott to me seems like he's starting every Europa League game. If I was Harvey Elliott, I'd be banging on Klopp's door every day saying, you better start me against this Europa League team, no matter who it is. We have the draw tomorrow, right? It wasn't today. It was Champions League today.
Our Friday fun day, Dan.
Yeah,
so I don't
tomorrow.
Honestly, I don't care if we play in the Europa League. If you put Harvey Elliott in the midfield, he'll probably be the best midfielder that team's ever played against. So, I don't care which team it is. If it's Union Berlin or anybody else, he's better than 90% of the midfielders in the Bundesliga. I don't know. It's a good problem to have. I'm happy to have it. What worries me, though, and again, I know it's been brought up in the chat. I'm pretty sure you guys were talking about this before I even had to hop on for Mihai, was the defense. It's the biggest worry for me because it seems to be the problem that's kind of sneaking up on us. And I know we joke about the ageism, but for me, the problem with Matip is not so much the age, it's the miles on the clock and the fact that it looks like he's slowing down.
How do you get miles on the clock, Dan? How do you get miles on the clock?
By getting old, but also by playing a lot of games. But there's a reason why Endo's a young 30 and Fabinho's an old 29, and that's the miles on the clock and playing on this game because there are players that are more late bloomers. But for me, the issue with Matip is just I worry about pace and I worry about people getting in behind because of the way we play. If we played Unai Emery deep block 4-4-2, we'd be fine. But we're playing high line 3-box-3 Jurgen pressing football, and do you really want Matip running back the goal with Everton's Den Juma running through to win the derby at Anfield?
I'm with you. I think, and this is what we're going to talk about the defense. We're going to sort of close out on that. But I'm with you. I'm thinking about Villa. If I was Ollie Watkins, and I'm running down, am I going to run against Gomez, who's quick and probably one of the quickest centre backs in the league? Or am I going to take the space that's been left by Trent coming inverted and sprint against Matip? I'm going to take on Matip. and that's going to be my run all game. And that's, and everyone's going to try and ping that ball, and that's what we see against it. So I get it. And Chad, I mean, we've let Nat Phillips go on a 6-month loan to Celtic, which is mental, 6 months. He'll only have 12 months left. So we are moving into a situation where we only have 4 centre-backs. And if we're talking about midfielders, we've got the depth of 6 players, 3 in everything. Yeah, we've got Quansah, but then there's a gap, isn't there? We don't have any other centre-backs. So do you think that we're going to get a centre-back before the window closes? I'm not asking you, Dan.
I think Ryan's the last one. No, I think Ryan's the last one. I don't think we're getting a centre-back. It's a little bit too late. You can see Klopp's trust. You can see his trust in the sense that he can let a player like Nat Phillips go and have the trust in Quansah to be the next guy behind Matip and Gomez. Is it the right move? No. I think Liverpool should have gone in for a midfielder after they signed, not a midfielder, sorry, a centre-back after they signed Szoboszlai. We should have gone in much sooner for the centre-back. But we have, unfortunately, we have to play you have to play with trust in Klopp's philosophies, and if he believes that Quansah is good enough to be the next guy behind those two, you just got to. I mean, he came on against Newcastle and he had a great game. I'm not gonna. He looked solid in the back. Is he gonna do that every week? I don't know. We'll have to see. We have to wait for Europa League and League Cup for him to start games and see how he actually plays. Go back to Dan's point about the shape and the backline being the problem. It's the shape. It's the space that Trent leaves when he pushes forward and makes that box. Also, I want to ask, like, which centre back plays on the right and which one plays on the left? I would prefer to have Gomez on the right because he has the pace, so he can cover that space that Konate normally does, and then have Matip on the left because Robertson is more tucked in. Even though he's not playing the centre back position, he's more tucked in, so he can help out Matip when it comes to this pace. But yeah, it's a tricky one. It's a tricky one. Klopp has seen something, and you just have to roll with it in terms of we're not going to get a centre back. Unfortunately, it's not going to happen anytime soon.
So you're that's it. Ryan and out for you, Chad. Mick, I mean, Melissa Reddy seems to be
that's it.
Hinting that we might be trying to do another deal. However, James Bad News Pierce, I mean, he said we were done 2 weeks ago. So,
yeah,
there's a reason he's been devalued on the LFC transfer room scale of transfers. I don't think he's as close anymore. Obviously, we've got Quansah. Now, for me, I'm a bit against playing him because he makes a couple of mistakes and Liverpool fans are just going to crucify the guy and he's only young. Endo can theory play centre-back. Do we need to get another one? I know your feelings, but technically he can. Do you think we're going to get another one, or do you think we're going with what we've got?
Yeah, I think we're going to. I don't think we'll sign a centre back. They may look, but they've been looking for 3 months now. And it's just poor planning, really, isn't it? It should have been the centre back should have been brought in right at the beginning. It was evident at the end of last season we needed a centre back. It's just, yeah, I just don't like. It's the formation. It's the reason why we need a centre back. I just don't like. If you look at the Van Dijk red card, Matip's completely out of the game. He's gone, and then Van Dijk didn't move across because he's looking over his shoulder and wondering if Robinson's got the other runner. So then he can't pull that one. He moves too late and then gets himself sent off. If you had maybe another centre back in there, you probably might be a bit more comfortable in making the move.
We're playing a formation that we've never played.
Yeah, but I don't think we're going to sign.
We just play Trent as a right back.
Yeah, but Trent's on the right back. That's a different story. I think we just need to go back to the 4, but then you don't have that 6 Fabinho, do you? So it's, I don't know. I think we've put ourselves in a tricky position with the business that we have done.
Yeah.
I think that's our problem. We haven't.
I feel like the only centre back that we might get is if we do get a centre back, sorry to cut you off there, Mac, but I was saying if we do get a centre back, it might be another Ben Davies,
Ben David.
you know, or
Oh God, no.
yeah, you know what I mean. I feel like it could be something
that.
similar to that. We loan a no, but that's if we do go out for a centre back, it's gonna probably be one of those centre backs. We're not gonna get a high quality centre back last minute.
Yeah, the money's too much. I think they're going to ask ridiculous money now, aren't they? With like 24 hours to go.
No, we were talking last night on stream about Jacob Greaves, who's a really good player from Hull, and he's a left centre back. He's left-footed. He's English. He's potentially a good player. He's going to be about 10 to 15 million. But Mick, the problem with a signing like this now at this stage, if we were to do something like that, is everyone would call him a Ben Davis.
Yeah.
Because
he's better than Ben Davis.
Of course, but people don't know that, do they? So you'd say signing from Hull, Ben Davis, blah, blah, blah. Because the benefit of someone like Greaves is he can play left back and actually be competition for Robbo, because I don't think Costas is. And he can play left centre back because replacing Van Dijk's tough. But I think if we're going to sign one of these developing players now, everyone's going to be like, panic buy Ben Davis and write them off before they've even given them a chance.
Yeah, I agree. Especially if it's not a big name like Hincapie, like everyone wants, or Arthur Tiete, because there wasn't no rumour that Matip might go the other way, and they wanted to replace Tiete with Matip if he left.
Yeah,
I mean, just give them Matip and take Tiete. I mean, they can have him.
Yeah, I don't think that would necessarily be a fair trade from them. They've got
we obviously money our way, money for him as well, and then we send them across as well, just to sweeten the deal. But I would put Quansah in over Matip against Villa.
I would agree with Mick, but I don't think Klopp would do that because I don't think he would throw a youth player. I don't think he'll throw a man as well.
You're both going to have to justify this one to me. Right, no, do you know what? We're going to do it in the chat as well. Who would you rather start, Quansah or Matip?
I would rather start Quansah. I just don't think Klopp's going to do it.
I want to know what the chat thinks because I think that's mental.
I don't think you put Quansah in against a team like Villa.
Wait, James, you want to put Quansah in?
They fast intensity.
I would rather start Matip than Quansah.
Okay. So you're sensible. I got it. So you haven't lost your head yet. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you went the other way around.
Matip on the left.
Well, I've seen two Matips.
Have Matip on the left centre back and
okay, so they haven't lost their head
on the right.
So I would start Quansah because I just would have a laugh. I'm like, well, let's just throw him in and see what happens. But I'm insane, so don't listen to me. I'm not Jurgen Klopp. I'm not in charge of Liverpool. I just want to see what happens. But I honestly don't think they're going to sign a center back because I think the one center back they wanted all summer, it's like a Chouamini situation, was Levi Caldwell. That's the only player they were linked with, and that's the only one they wanted. And I think they wanted him because he can play left center back, he can play left back, and he can take over Van Dijk in the future. And I honestly, James, if I'm being completely honest, I think they've overthought the whole defensive situation. They just need to sign a decent center back. I think the midfield rebuild this summer has been I think it's been good for the fact that let's just sign good players. They don't have to be the best of the best. Like McAllister's a good player. He's not the best. He was probably not the best Argentinian midfield. He would say it was probably Enzo Fernandez.
What a terrible player he is.
No, he wasn't a bad. But you know what I'm saying. He was not like the most hyped Argentinian player from that World Cup team. It was probably Enzo Fernandez. Even though if you watch the games, you probably think McAllister's good. Soboslai, highly rated player from RB Leipzig. There were other players in that team that people would say as probably the more the ones that people wanted more. Guardiola, for example. Everyone was all about Guardiola. Guardiola's this, Guardiola's that. But I think Soboslai is a smarter buy. Wataru Endo, out of nowhere from Stuttgart, probably Stuttgart's best player, even though Stuttgart, I think, were 2-0 up. No, they were 1-0 up on Leipzig before they lost 5-1. So, again, smart buy. Ryan Gravenberch, player from Ajax, goes to Bayern. It's not fancied by Nagelsmann, not fancied by Tuchel for the reasons of Bayern Munich. They're trying to win. So they're like, well, I'm just going to play the players, the Klopp issue. I'm just going to play the players that I know I can get the best out of rather than someone's a bit of a project. So they kind of went in and said, let's just buy good midfielders. And I think that's going to be great for us going forward. But I think they've overthought the center back situation where they're like, well, who's the best? Who's the best of the youngest? Oh, it's Levi Colwell. Well, it's him or no one. When there's so many other decent center backs like Tiete, like I can't say the guy's name at West Ham.
Araujo,
there we go. Yeah, or like, Max Killerman would have been a decent center back. He's not better than Gomez, but he's not really that much worse. Is he better than Matip? I don't think he's better than Matip, but I think he's at least Matip equivalent and doesn't have his legs shot from underneath him.
Who was the top centre back?
Mickey Van de Ven?
Yeah, I think we were linked with him, weren't we, at the start?
So
Yeah,
this is my thing.
As well, isn't he?
Yeah, I think they looked at Van de Ven and they said he's tall, he's fast, but he's bad on the ball, so we're just not going to go for him. So again, that's one of the situations where they kind of overthought it. Granted, he did go for like 55 mil, so that's also probably another thing that put them off was the price tag as well. So I just think there was just overthought the defensive situation, and we're going to have to see what happens in January and next summer. Granted, they may sign someone, but I don't think they will because I don't think there's anybody out there that they're going to get at the price they want.
I think for me,
I feel like that's Liverpool's transfer strategy. Sorry, again, James.
Yeah,
but that's just Liverpool's transfer. Buy good players, not going out for ready-made stars. It's the Moneyball principle, I guess.
Yeah, you buy them so that you can have a full contract of their quality, and then they've got sell-on value if and when the point comes to sell, which is sensible. Not great for us, and then you keep them for another rotation if you want to do it that way.
Unfortunately.
But Matip's good one-on-one defending for me. I think he's one of the best progressors out of the back line in world football as a defender. He drives forward really well. But with Trent playing inverted, it nullifies Matip's driving forward. So that's where I think it's they clash. And I think if he drives forward, he leaves a gap, and obviously he doesn't have the pace to get back. Now, we're going into extra time now. And what extra time is, guys, is we get questions that have been coming in, and I've starred them all in the chat, and I'm going to give each of you a question. And then we're going to see what your answer is. So to start with, I'm going to go with you, Chad. Hi, James, Mick, Dan, Lee. Big up Ryan Gravenberch for 34.2 million. Liverpool need a left centre-back, a right-back, and another midfielder, and a right-wing forward. Richard wants a lot of signings in this time. Now, I know you said earlier, Chad, left centre-back for you. What's second on your priority list?
I'm going to go over the one that's a little bit out there. I'm going to go with a right wing forward. There's a lot of heat on Salah. I know it's not going to happen anytime soon, but we don't have a genuine left footer that can play in the that right wing position. We have Elliott, but he doesn't have the pace to fall into that position, and then that creates another shift in the whole formation, the whole philosophy of how we play, similar to what we're trying to do with Darwin. So for me, maybe if we do go into January, so I'm thinking about January next, maybe getting a replacement for Salah, a young player that has a good left foot, that has the pace, that can play in the Premier League.
Maybe Scottish.
That could be a shout for me.
Wears number 50.
Sorry?
Maybe a Scottish player wears number 50. Bit of pace.
Benjamin.
Yeah, no, 100%. But he doesn't have that left foot. He has to go back onto his right foot. I mean, all his chances, he has to shift back into his right foot. He doesn't have that natural left that we're looking for. I see more of if you shift him over to the left side of the forward line, perfect player for them, because he has that right foot that he can cut into and cut it into the corner. On the left side, it's a little bit different because now his strong foot is his right foot. The right side. His strong foot is his right foot, so he has to go back onto his right foot. I don't see him as a natural replacement for Salah. You know what I mean? But again, that's just it's a little out there. I know Salah's not a priority. That side's not priority as of yet, but it could be something of next season. Saudi comes in with a big money move. I mean, Salah is going to guarantee us 20 goals again this season. So Saudi is going to come in again. and it could be a case of Salah's looking at setting himself up for life.
Yeah, I've said on stream multiple times, I think this is Salah's last season for us. I think he moves to Saudi next year with a year left on his contract to get us as a bit of cash, with 12 months off. Now, question for you, Mick. What are you drinking?
It was water, but it's got these weird plastic ice cubes in. That stay literally frozen for about 30 seconds. They're absolutely pointless. Don't buy them.
These are the important questions, you see. These are the things that people want to know. Now, with 8 guys, how many 10 Prem teams, Dan, do you think have a better midfield than us? Maybe Man City, maybe, where do you rank on midfield now with Ryan in? Obviously, we don't have a specialist 6, but I think we've probably got some of the best up-and-coming attacking midfielders in world football. Where would you put our midfield in? Would you say anyone's above us? And if so, which midfield? And don't go squad, go for starting.
I think, so you said just go with starting? Just with starting, we're second behind City, and it's only because City have Rodri. Like, there's no one in City's midfield that I would have other than Rodri, because Rodri's the best 6. I would argue to say we have the best midfield in Europe at the current moment, like in terms of depth, because Madrid only really have 3 to 4 players that are really good, and the rest are either injured or fallen off, or they're just in their second team. There's no other team in Europe right now or the Premier League that has a better midfield than us, except for Man City, and it's only because of Rodri. I would not have Nunez. I would not have Kovacic. I would not have any of those players in this little team. One, because I think what Nunez does, McAllister, Szoboszlai, Gravenberch can do in a much better quantity. Kovacic, I just don't rate Kovacic. I could be proven wrong, but I just don't rate him. I think he's a lesser version of Ilkay Gundogan.
Newcastle?
I don't rate Newcastle. No, I don't rate Newcastle. You can see. So this has been my whole thing about Newcastle this year. Guimaraes is a good player, but look at Tonali. Tonali can win the ball, but he can't pass it more than like 20 yards. Like, Sandro Tonali is a great player, but he's not someone that's going to progress the ball in an attacking sense. If you compare Sandro Tonali and Dominic Szoboszlai, it's chalk and cheese. Szoboszlai is so much better of a player than what Sandro Tonali is. Bruno Guimaraes is the only player I would take from Newcastle's midfield, and he'd still be behind Rodri. I think we have the best starting midfield except for Manchester City, and it's only because of Rodri. And he's the best. And he's the best midfielder, defensive mid in the world, and probably the best midfielder in the world at the moment, besides Jude Bellingham. But I don't think Jude Bellingham is the 6th.
Mick, Chad, can you think of any Premier League midfielders better than ours?
No, I think Dan got a spot on. Newcastle, you saw on the weekend, they were, Joe Linton. Joe Linton he's a good cover, but he's not the long-term goal there for Newcastle. I think he's going to get exposed in the Champions League.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
Joe
besides
Linton,
that, no, it's Man City only.
Not a Newcastle midfielder. He's one of those that just runs all day.
Yeah. Mick, were you going to say Declan Rice? Because I have an argument against Declan Rice.
Yeah, I was thinking Arsenal, but I only read. I like Odegaard. I think Odegaard's a good player. I'd take Rice, but no, probably not an overall starting 3. No, I probably wouldn't say Arsenal. Yeah, I'd probably say the same, City, only because of Rodri. But I do think Real Madrid have a better starting 3 than what we do.
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
Look, I'm talking about depth, though, not just the starting 3.
Yeah, but
so
if you're going to pick Camavinga, Tchouameni, and Bellingham, that's potentially a midfield.
You can't pick Camavinga because Camavinga is a left back.
I would take Szoboszlai over Camavinga. I would put Szoboszlai over Camavinga.
Left back this season, he was central mid when they won the Champions League against us.
That's true, but Camavinga is probably going to be goalkeeper this year. So
Valverde then.
I would still take.
Yeah,
no, I think Valverde's a good. Listen, I think Valverde's a good player. I'm not. I would still take Szoboszlai or McAllister over Valverde, and I like Federico Valverde. I think Liverpool should buy Federico Valverde.
Oof,
you've blown my mind today, Dan. If we could get Valverde for 6, I would be all over that. I would be.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. I would be all over it too. I'm not saying I would take Endo Fernandez over. Endo Fernandez. I'm not saying I would take Wataru Endo over Federico Valverde. I'm just saying that you can make an argument that as a midfield three, if you took Liverpool's midfielders and Madrid's midfielders, if you were building the best midfield three out of those, it would be Bellingham, Szoboszlai, and Chouameni. Or you could replace Szoboszlai with McAllister if you think Bellingham and Szoboszlai are too similar. Because
Camavinga or any of the Real Madrid.
I've just seen someone in chat though.
They have a good four. Listen, they have a good solid 4 or 5. I think we have a solid 8. It was the point I was trying to make, which I think got lost in the sauce because I was being a bit too what's the word? Flamboyant.
If Caicedo, Enzo, and Lavia all gelled, I mean that's a good midfield.
That is a hell of a midfield if they. And I think the problem Chelsea have is they've signed all these kids, and they're expecting Raheem Sterling to teach them how to be the only senior pro in the squad, and it's just not a great idea.
No.
So here's my thing against Enzo, Caicedo, and Lavia. They're all too similar. Like you're paying 3 midfielders that are very, very similar to each other, what they want to do, which is you want them to be box to box, 6s. You could all 3 of them play as a 6, and they would do kind of very similar jobs. So I would say Enzo's a much better passer of the ball than Lavia or Caicedo is. I think that could be the best midfield in the world in a couple of years. But
do you think Lavia would be a better 6 than Gravenberch?
Yes.
Yeah.
Depends how you, I guess, deploy it.
If you want
progression. If you're wanting it to just be a destroyer, yes. If you're wanting that progression and interlink of play, a bit like how Enzo's playing at the moment.
Yeah.
Probably not. Lavia can't necessarily do that. But I think it's an interesting thing. So, Chad, let's say we sign Andre tomorrow and we announce we've signed Andre. He's not going to sign until he's not going to join us till January. This is something that Live Lad said. Imagine that situation happens. Are you satisfied with the transfer window? We've got out our old players. We've had a good change. Yes, we haven't got everything we wanted, but what kid gets everything they want for Christmas?
Yeah, no, 100%. I've always thought of Andre as a replacement for Thiago. I think he's a perfect replacement for Thiago. I don't see him as an out-and-out 6 for us. Would I wait for him until January? I don't know. Because, again, going back to Manu Kone, we couldn't wait for a month for him because he got injured. So can we wait 5 months for Andre? I don't know. There's a lot of season left to play for him. But would he sign and make it a perfect transfer window? I think it'll be a perfect rebuild of the midfield, yeah. Perfect transfer window, no, because we still don't have a centre-back. But, yeah, again, like you said, not everyone can have everything they want for Christmas. So you just got to take what you got. I would love Andre to come in tomorrow, 100%.
I think Andre is going to be, this is just my opinion. I think Andre will be a 6. I think he started as a 9. He moved to a 10. Then he moved to an 8. And last season he moved to a 6. I think they're trying to turn him into that Dunga type. I will sit back here and orchestrate what happens. But he's got a little bit of a aggressive bite in his play, which I
don't think he's a destroyer.
No, he's got bite. I don't think
he's a destroyer. I think he's a
orchestrator.
Yeah, I think he's a more of a progressive, which would be perfect in the way that Klopp is trying to play now, where we don't need a destroyer, we need a progressor and someone that can hold the ball. So in that sense, yeah, perfect signing. 100%.
Why does Endo start over Gravenberch in that role?
I think they'll play them together. I think they might play them together as a double pivot.
I don't think it'd be Gravenberch and Endo because you drop.
But then you have to take who you take out for Gravenberch then, if you're going to play the double.
I think it will end up being Gravenberch and McAllister, in my opinion.
Yeah, and then I think
Gerrard, Xabi Alonso type double pick.
Yeah, and I think it'll be McAllister or Andre. So it depends on the game. I think it'll be a horses for courses situation. When you are going to have a lot of the ball, it'll be Gravenberch and McAllister. And when you need more control of the game, not so much you're going to have the ball, but you need to win the ball and maintain possession, like against, like I say, a mid-table team like a Villa or a Palace that's going to press really high. I think you can see a McAllister Andre double pivot where it's like they both just keep the ball and win the ball, and that's just what they keep doing for 90 minutes. Blow the whistle. We walk home with a 2-0 victory.
Now we've been going 115 minutes, so I'm gonna call time of death on the chat. Thank you everyone for that's joined us today. Thank you very much for Chad, Mick, for your debuts. No singing needed. Thank you very much for Dan, the now American Mihail, as he will be known, for jumping in after Mihail had a load of technical problems. This has been LFC Transfer Room. Make sure that you leave a like and subscribe to the channel. And remember to vote for LFC Transfer Room in the awards that we've put all over the chat. So make sure that you dig it out there. And good news. Big day tomorrow. 4 streams tomorrow. One's going to be a Gravenberch announcement. We've got the draw. We've got our usual 7:30 stream. And then we've got transfer deadline day where Dan's going to turn up full Jim Whited. Yellow tie.
Oh, I got a black suit. I got a yellow tie. I'll try to do a Jim White accent. It's like, what is that? Like a mix of a Scottish.
Yeah, he's
like
even going to bleach his hair white so that he looks like a grey old man. Thanks everyone for joining. We'll catch you on the next one.